Lonwabo Ngcali Gade is a 17-year-old. He is a child ambassador of the Nelson Mandela Children's Parliament and a National Child Parliamentarian. He has visited several child and youth care centers, and he also engaged with Junior City Council in the Western Cape. Lonwabo also serves in the Congress of South Africa Students, which is like a union at school. So thank you very much, Lonwabo.
Yes, thanks so much for that introduction. As I've introduced, good evening to everyone, all members of the Children's Institute, to the guest, fellow children, fellow child rights advocates, and to the provincial commission. Especially to the children, young people who have joined this program, who are part of the program and joined this program virtually, and those that be watching the recorded video. As I've been introduced, my name is Lonwabo Ngcali Gade. I am 17 years old. I know this importantly because sometimes people get confused with this best mine, where I am still a child or not, to qualify to be a child ambassador, but rest assured, I am still 7 years old. I am National Child Parliamentarian and ambassador of the Nelson Mandela Parliament. I have been invited, to speak today on a very, very important issue for children, not just in the province, but also nationally. So, which is, I am invited here to answer the question, which is, why is it important to engage in lawmaking, particularly a specific focus on children's rights to participate? That's the question that I am going to be answering in my speech today. It's a slogan that the National Parliament has adopted, which is nothing about us without us. This slogan emphasizes the need to involve children in decisions that affect them directly or indirectly. So, this is not just a moral or ethical exercise, but is a constitutional obligation to allow children to exercise their right to participate. Article 12 of the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child is particularly important, as it requires state parties, which South Africa is one of them, guarantee all children capable of forming their own views the right to express their views freely in all matters affecting them. Ensure children's views be given due weight in accordance with their age and maturity, to provide children with the opportunity to be heard in judicial and administrative proceedings, either directly or indirectly. This convention is binding to all member states, and it's clear on the children's rights to participate in decision making. South Africa has done quite a number of things to comply with this convention, but with that being said, a lot still needs to be done.
Just a minute, Lonwabo. Yes. Just a minute. I wonder if you can just switch off your video. I wonder if you can switch off your video, because we can't hear you properly. I think it is the connectivity. I'm also having issues that start with my connectivity. I wonder if you can just switch off your video, because we can't hear you nicely, and I also have issues with my internet. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so should I continue speaking now?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. As I was saying, this convention binding to all member states, and it is clear on the children's right to participate in decision making. South Africa has done quite a number of things to comply with this convention, but with that being said, there's still a lot more that needs to be done to protect and safeguard the rights of children in South Africa, particularly the right to participate. The convention puts an emphasis that children may not be allowed to participate in decisions, such as creation of parks or children or child areas, but it puts an emphasis on the fact that children should be allowed to be part of important, underlined important, because there is this phenomenon where people assume or think that the only decision-making children should be part of is that of non-important issues. But this convention, the United Nations Convention of the Right of the Child, emphasizes that children should be allowed to form part of important decision-making, such as the convention states a few, which is judicial and administrative proceedings, with the understanding that children should have a right to participate in drafting laws that affect them directly or indirectly. The preamble of the Children's Act 38 of 2005 states, every child has the right to set out has the right set out in Section 28 of the Constitution. The state must protect, promote, and fulfill those rights. Protection of children's rights leads to a corresponding improvement in the life of other sections of the community, because it is neither desirable nor possible to protect children's rights in isolation from their families and communities. The need to extend particular care to the child has been stated in the Geneva Declaration on the Right of the Child, in the United Nations Declaration on the Right of the Child, in the African Charter on the Right and the Welfare of the Child, and recognized in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and in states and relevant instruments of specialized agencies and international organizations concerned with the welfare of the child. All these conventions, declarations, and affirm the constitutional right of the child to participate in decision making. In basic terms, it is important for children to participate because these decisions will, one way or the other, affect them and their way of living. But it is important to note that with the rights comes responsibilities, and it is up to us as children to uphold the responsibilities. These rights have established institutions such as the Junior City Council, which is a council of children from all the wards of the municipality. The JCC's main aim is for the council to convince and persuade the main council to vote for laws that are child-friendly and for children to participate and see how municipal governance is done. Having served as a junior council at the Cape Town Junior City Council, I can confidently say that more needs to be done for the JCC to hold binding powers to constitute and to persuade municipalities towards laws that protect children's rights. As mostly Junior City Council of today are used as PR exercises in municipalities, whereby they are just used as events whereby children go there for, or let's say if you have it was a term, so you do not actually participate in decision making, but you are more of sightseeing the city when you are part of the Junior City Council. Hence, I'm emphasizing the fact that a lot still needs to be done to give Junior City Councils not sort of supreme powers, but some power to make sure that they have a role in decision making of municipalities. The progressive province of Western Cape, I specifically say it is progressive because it is the first province to launch the office of the Children's Commissioner. With this office, I am taken into confidence as a child that children's rights will be protected and not used only for PR exercises. The launch of the Children's Commissioner office gives hope to many children in the province that their voices will finally be heard. And not just be heard, because the voices of children have been heard way before, but the problem comes with implementation. The problem, therefore, is that children are heard. Children do have voices. The JCC is there for young people. Youth councils are there for young people. The Nelson Mandela Children's Parliament is there for young people and other organizations that work with young people. But the problem is, are the documents, is the rules, are the recommendations of children implemented? That is where government seems to be stuck on, the implementation of these laws to protect the rights of children to participate. The Nelson Mandela Children's Parliament has proudly launched last year during the national election, the South African Children's Manifesto of 2019, which focuses on the right of the child to participate and what children want to see after the election. It is the hope of the Nelson Mandela Children's Parliament that these recommendations recommended by children for children will be implemented by government to make sure that South Africa is a safe place for children to live in. In conclusion, honorable members, I would like to add in the words of the founder of the Nelson Mandela Parliament, Uta Nelson Mandela. As he said, I quote, "There can be no clearer revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." Close quote. These are the words of Uta Nelson Mandela, as it makes it clear that children's rights should be upheld. Not just that, but they should be implemented to ensure that children have a bright future ahead. It is not a plea, but it is a constitutional obligation for governments to allow children to participate. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Lonwabo. Indeed, nothing about you without you. You need to be included in all the discussion, hence we had to organize this. Thank you very much. I am going to open a round of questions for 4 minutes. I have my timekeeper, Nes. Please do remind me of time. Can we also use a chat box? And as well, can we unmute, then share, ask a question? So we are going to give participants 4 minutes to actually ask questions. Do we? Thando Luhle.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Thando Luhle from the Gauteng region. I wanted to ask that since you strongly believe that children are supposed to be involved in the making of the laws that influence their lives and affect them, so what can be done after that, after they have been involved in that part of lawmaking which affects their lives, what can be done when those particular laws are being violated by adults? What can be put into place?
Lonwabo?
Sorry.
Yes, thank you. The first question, thank you for that question, Tando Luhle. What can be done when, I think that's the question, what can be done when those laws are being violated? What can be done is the strengthening of state organs to work with children's rights. For example, the newly launched Office of the Chief Commissioner needs to be given binding powers for government to implement laws that seek to protect children. So that is the one thing that can be done for offices that work with children and for children, to be given binding powers to implement, and to be also given right to be given right to set out fines for those institutions that seek to violate children's rights. That's the one.
Thank you, Lonwabo. Do we have another question?
Sorry, if I can just add, can I add on something that was just mentioned?
Okay.
Or do I have to ask a question?
You can add.
I can add. If I'm not correct, if a right or if someone's rights has been violated, there are procedures in place to further something like that. If I'm not correct, I think, isn't it? Hello.
Hello. Hello.
I'm saying that if your rights are being violated, there are procedures in order for you to take it further. So if laws are put in place with children, helping put the laws in place, there are procedures when someone's rights has been violated. You can take some like procedure, isn't it?
I'd like to come in here, Jabo.
Yes.
I think we're going to address this in the next talk of our next speaker. So can we ask for their introduction, and then she will deal with that as well.
Okay. Thanks, Naziswa.
Thank you, Neziswa.
Naziswa. Naziswa, oh my God. It's been a while.
Okay, thank you very much. Zinke, can you introduce our next speaker?
Hello. Hi, everyone. Okay, our next speaker is Christian Nomdo. Christian Nomdo is the first Children's Commissioner of the Western Cape. She has a duty to protect and promote the rights, needs, and interests of children in the Western Cape. She has always been a passionate advocate for children's participation rights and has committed to involving them in her work. The first thing she did when she took up this role was to establish a group of children's monitors who help her keep an eye on the provincial government. Thank you. Hello?
Thank you, Zinke.
Okay.
Christina.
Hello, everybody. I'm Christina Nomdo, also known as Tina by all and sundry. You heard what I've done. So let me just quickly address those two questions that you asked, because I will forget them. I am old. And so Lonwabo said that the problem is with implementation of child participation. And I think, let me give you an example quickly of how I made child participation real in my office. So my office had to develop a logo, and we took 2 weeks in July, and I worked with some designers and sent out to children in my children's government monitors group, and generally all children who were connected to child rights activists, and I asked for input. And when we had all the input, I put to the child government monitors 2 options, and they voted. And I voted for option number 1, and everybody else, or most other people, voted for option number 2. And so option number 2 was implemented. So that is just an illustration of how you really have to make it real practical. You can see the logo there on my poster with the 2 children. The other thing is, which relates directly to my talk, is what happens when government doesn't involve children in lawmaking. So we had a 2007 Sexual Offences Act, and there were 2 clauses in the Sexual Offences Act that made it illegal, a crime, for children 12 to 15 years old to kiss each other, to hold hands in a romantic way. It was a crime, people. Parliament thought this was a good idea to protect children. We should ban romance. So 2 child protection organizations got together and were represented by child rights advocates, like lawyers. And we said, we are going to take government to court. We don't like this law. We don't think it's in line with the Constitution. We think children have dignity, and their privacy should be respected. Their bodily integrity should be respected, and the best interests of the child should be respected. And so we took this matter to first the High Court and then the Constitutional Court. And we were given a positive finding by the Constitutional Court. And the Constitutional Court found, yes, the law is violating children's rights and the law should be changed. And the Constitutional Court then ordered Parliament to change the law to decriminalize children's romance. You know, people like to be sensationalists and say decriminalize children's sex. It was nothing to do with sex per se. It was to do with a whole wide range of very normal behaviors that teenagers should have. They should be able to be romantic. They should be able to hold hands. They should be able to write love letters to each other. They should be able to kiss if they want to. And that should be nobody's business but their own. And so we went to court to defend that right, and it was upheld. I must say that we didn't go to court so that children can have every child in the whole country from the next day should have sex at 12. No, we didn't say whether children should have sex or not. We just said that, you know, a law cannot be used to guide children in their sexual decision making. That is the role of parents, who are the primary duty bearers of child rights, to protect and to promote children's rights and to help them make good decisions. It's not the place of the law. I think I will stop there for questions. How about that?
Thank you very much, Christina. Do we have any questions? Please do use the chat box as well. Christina can always come back and answer your questions on the chat box. Any questions? We are going.
I have a question. Joe.
Yes.
Oh, Dr. Lucas has a question first. I'll give it to Dr. Lucas.
Okay.
Okay, hi everyone again. Now, if parents, I have a question for Tina. If parents don't take upon that responsibility of guiding the child upon the sexuality, or rather should have sex or have any communication like sexual activity or romance within their lives, who then will be appointed to take this decision if parents are not inclusively involved? Therefore, I think there's more probably a suggestion where school therefore should also kind of support in terms of this type of discussions and just explore the idea, and just for extra guidance due to some parents are not really inclusive with their children. I thank you.
Dr. Lucas, you have cleverly answered your own question. The second duty bearer of child rights is the government. And so if parents cannot, will not fulfill and promote children's rights, the government has to step in and support children. And hence we have recently heard last year, they are changing the curriculum to comprehensive sexual education in schools. And so there's lots of excitement about that comprehensive sexuality education in schools. But it's exactly that, because we are not getting enough information to children to help them make good sexual decisions. Thank you, Dr. Lucas.